the search for life outside our planet continues. Scientists have said that microbial life could exist within our solar system, saying that microorganisms and extremophiles could exist out in the far reaches of space. One place that's of particular interest is that of Saturn's moon Enceladus. According to NASA's official website, Saturn has 82 moons. 53 moons are confirmed and named, and another 29 moons are awaiting confirmation of discovery and official naming. Not much was known about Enceladus until Voyager 1 did a flyby. After this, the Cassini spacecraft passed nearby and enabled us to study the almost all-ocean moon in much more detail. Enceladus may seem insignificant when compared to Saturn's larger moons, such as Titan. Enceladus, though, is fascinating and has been at the center of a number of theories. Almost completely covered in ice, Enceladus has an enormous ocean underneath that icy crust that is home to some of the most interesting recent scientific discoveries. In late 2019, a team of scientists announced they had found what's described as an organic molecule, thought to be essential for the development and presence of life. Head scientist Dr. Voyager and his team were analysing data collected from the core of Enceladus. This was collected by the Cassini spacecraft when they found a tiny organic compound that they said would be found deep in the ocean. This compound is found in amino acids that are also found on Earth, and this indicated that this moon of Saturn could be a likely candidate for life. As mentioned, the majority of Enceladus is covered in ice, but has an ocean that lurks just beneath it, sharing certain similarities with Earth's poles. Enceladus's ice sheets release vapor and ice grains through any slight crack in the ice surface, and this is due to hydrothermal activity. The ice grains that are released have been key during this discovery, as that's where the molecule discovered was found. This molecule, that's made up of nitrogen and oxygen, released through the cracks of Enceladus's surface, is also found on Earth in essentially the same way. Earth's hydrothermal activity causes vents to release similar molecules. Further exploration and research missions are currently in the works, in order to try and understand everything we can about this incredible moon. These research missions will hopefully uncover more about Enceladus, as we don't really know the extent of what other essential molecules and signs of life they could be. Scientists have suggested that within its dark oceans, eyeless creatures could exist, relying on senses other than their eyes to navigate. Scientists said that life needs energy, but said that Enceladus is an active moon, having all the right things for life to exist. NASA said the following on their website: "Since the ocean in Enceladus supplies the jets, and the jets produce Saturn's E-ring, to study material in the E-ring is to study Enceladus's oceans. The E-ring is mostly made of ice droplets, but among them are peculiar nanograins of silica, which can only be generated where liquid water and rock interact at temperatures over 200 degrees. This, among other evidence, points to hydrothermal vents deep beneath Enceladus's icy shell, not unlike the hydrothermal vents that dot Earth's ocean floor. With its global ocean, unique chemistry and internal heat, Enceladus has become a promising lead in our search for worlds where life could exist." End quote. Astrobiologist Dr. Cassini said the following: "The pressure and temperature differences between the Enceladus ocean floor and the ice cap above must be tremendous. In a dark subterranean world, perhaps like the underground oceans of Enceladus, vision may be totally absent, and eyeless creatures could evolve a perfectly competent and rich communication using sound alone." End quote. Scientist Christine Ray said the following: "The detection of molecular hydrogen in the plume indicated there is free energy available in the ocean of Enceladus. We compare our free energy estimates to the ecosystems on Earth, and determine that overall our values for both aerobic and anaerobic metabolisms meet or exceed minimum requirements. These results indicate that oxygen production and oxidation chemistry could contribute to supporting possible life and a diverse microbial community on Enceladus. End quote. Scientists have said that Enceladus is the only confirmed current habitable environment beyond Earth, and hope that NASA and other space agencies will investigate this moon further. Technically though, we do have proof of life outside our planet, though this is because of humans. Back in 2019, an Israeli spacecraft tried to land on the lunar surface. However, the mission didn't go to plan, and the spacecraft ended up crash landing into the moon. This mission occurred on the 11th of April back in 2019, and now researchers are saying the lunar surface could be filled with tiny creatures. The original idea was to land a robotic lander that had tardigrades on it. Due to the unfortunate event though, it's not known if these small creatures survived, but scientists have said it's very likely due to how resilient they are. Scientists have called them extremophiles, due to them being able to survive in such harsh conditions, and one of the things that researchers are doing right now is studying these creatures to see if we can replicate what they do. If we were able to take some of the tardigrades' abilities and place them in a human, it would make us much more superior. At the moment, the human body is not great at handling harsh conditions. In fact, for humans to survive in an environment, everything has to be exactly right. It's been estimated that tardigrades have been around for over 500 million years, meaning they outlived the dinosaurs. Recently, scientists were taking samples from a subglacial lake in the Antarctic. After getting the samples tested, they made an unexpected discovery. The team had discovered tardigrades, with them saying they've never been found in this location, and it's still a mystery as to how they ended up there. Regardless, it shows us just how resilient these incredible creatures are. A man by the name of Adhar just posted this image, saying that thousands of birds suddenly fell from the sky in India. Adhar didn't give away his location, but did say it happened close to Maharashtra, saying that the birds could be heard in the sky and could be seen flying around in circles, before they started dropping one by one. The man continued and said that people were taking photographs of the event, but couldn't understand what was going on, and why the birds were acting the way they were. Worryingly, Maharashtra officials reported that hundreds of birds had passed away in a similar manner, saying that samples were sent to the National Institute of High Security Animal Diseases and Pune's Animal Disease Investigation Center. The government has said the birds are healthy and shouldn't affect people's eating habits, but the question that still remains is why are these birds falling out of the sky, and why is this happening in other locations across our world? One resident close to the region said the birds suddenly started acting strange, and that they went outside due to all the noise that the birds were making, saying that this isn't something they've heard or seen before. After observing the birds for around 10 minutes, they said that some of them did fly off, but the majority of them looked depleted, as if they'd been shot by something, and one by one they started to fall from the sky. What's odd about this is that they said the birds looked healthy, and visually couldn't see anything wrong with them. This isn't the first time that residents from India have reported such an incident. In fact, back in 2020, thousands of birds were found on the shore of India's biggest saltwater lake. Over 2,500 birds were found in the region, all of which seem to have suffered the same fate. Rather worryingly, this happened during the same time as the other mass bird die-offs. During the months of December 2019 and January and February 2020, various people across the planet have reported that a huge number of birds were found, all of which passed away under mysterious circumstances. It's not known what took the birds' lives, although a variety of different explanations have been put forward to try and explain what's going on. Some suggested that all these cases come down to natural phenomena, saying that these birds likely got hit with something, such as hailstones or other atmospheric conditions. However, this doesn't explain the most recent event that happened in India, with residents saying that there was no atmospheric conditions that would have affected the birds so much that they would fall from the sky, with others following on from this and saying that it was like the birds were hit with something mid-air and it caused them to fall to the ground. During 2020, it was reported that the amount of bird deaths in India was actually wrong, and instead of there being 2,500 birds, officials said the number was as high as 5,000. Indian authorities started to investigate what had happened, with them saying that different species had become victims to the event. One official told the BBC the following: "We are counting the dead birds. They are strewn over the entire area around the lake. Some 20 to 25 birds who are still alive are being treated. At this moment we suspect there was some level of toxicity and high levels of salt in the drinking water. We are also looking at other possibilities." However, a local birdwatcher came forward and said that nothing has ever happened like this in the region, and that he thinks there's more to it, further saying that the birds were very distressed by something in the area. As of right now, no one really seems to know what's going on with these animals, and why it's only affecting birds. Various theories have been put forward, which range from the Earth's magnetic field, to global warming and cell phone towers being installed and tested in the regions. Interestingly, some people have announced that after these towers have been erected, various types of wildlife in the region have started to act strange. This isn't just some out there theory either. According to the website Little Peckers, a site that specialises in bird health, they said the following: "In May 2018, the EU-funded review body conducted an analysis of 97 studies. It concluded that radiation from mobile phone towers, Wi-Fi and broadcast transmitters is a potential risk to insects and bird orientation. The magnetic orientation of birds, mammals and insects could be disrupted by magnetic fields. The authors of the review have emphasized the need to enhance our knowledge of EMFs and their impact on wildlife. 237 scientists have now appealed to the United Nations, asking for the risk to be taken more seriously. Electromagnetic fields produce radiation, and airborne species are at greater risk of being exposed to this. In addition, birds' feathers act as receptors of electromagnetic radiation. Studies have suggested that this radiation may cause psychological stress and reduce birds' ability to recover from such stress. Radiation could also be causing psychological issues, including mutated embryos." End quote. Recently, many of these birds have passed away near recently installed towers, causing some to question whether these things are affecting these birds. One person that lives close to one of these towers, and who's an avid birdwatcher, said it would explain the strange circling that's been observed, saying that these towers seem to have a direct effect on these birds, and it's almost like it's confusing them. While another person said the following: "I've seen videos of these birds flying close to these towers, and it seems to be messing them up. I'm not going down the rabbit hole of what some people believe. These are just my observations. I've seen this happen firsthand, and the only thing I could see within the immediate area was one of these towers, so I think that they're having some kind of effect on these birds." End quote. As of right now, officials and companies who are installing these towers have said they have nothing to do with it, and various tests have been carried out that show these things are 100% safe, and are not behind what's happening to these birds. They continue to say that they're completely safe. Being an officer in this day and age isn't easy. They have to be ready for the unexpected. Callouts, though, don't always go the way they think they will, and in some cases officers have been left wanting answers for what they just encountered. People posted some questions online, asking officers to detail the strangest callouts they responded to. One person said the following: "My dad was a cop and I've never forgotten this story he told me. My dad was always someone who was straight to the point, was never one to make up stories and always told the truth. He said that the station got a call and was asked to investigate an old home in the woods, saying that a woman was very shaken as she thought that someone had broken in. My dad though said it didn't bother him, and these sorts of calls often came in. He told the woman to stay upstairs and hold the door shut until they arrived. Him and a buddy went to investigate their house, and said that once there she told them that her husband had been woken up from noises coming from downstairs. At this point though, the woman didn't tell them where the husband was. My dad was checking out the property, and said that a tall figure walked past him in a room to his left. The room had no lights on, but he just assumed that it was the husband. He called out to the person but didn't get a response, not thinking a lot of it as it was late at night when the call out was made. He continued looking through the downstairs of the house, but didn't find anything. As he walked towards his officer and the woman though, he noticed the husband walking down the stairs, and my dad said this immediately gave him chills. He quickly turned around to his partner and said that someone else was in the house, and that they were in the room behind them. As they ran in the room, no one was there. My dad was sure of what he had seen, and said he could clearly see the outline of a human walk past him. He said the figure was around 6 foot, and that it looked like it had a black robe on, noting that it reminded him of a dressing robe. Both my dad and the officer checked the house thoroughly, but didn't find anything. My dad told me that he insisted that they inspected the house several times over, as he was sure that he saw something, but each search turned up nothing. He said that the owners were shaken up even more than before, and said this isn't the first time that they've heard strange noises throughout the house. He said that nothing like this has ever happened since, and that he has no idea what it was he saw. When I've asked my dad about it in the past, he says he doesn't really like talking about it. I can tell that it affected him, as he's someone who doesn't buy into the paranormal, and he said that he spent countless hours trying to figure out what it was he saw. My dad is retired now, and has said that he can't explain what he encountered that night. I've told a few people about this encounter, and they seem to be of the opinion that my dad encountered a shadow person, saying that the details match up with other similar encounters. Another officer detailed his encounter, though this case is more sad than spooky. He said the following: "Our department had received a call from a neighbour saying that a lady lived a few doors down, and that she was practicing black magic. They said that she has ties to dark things, and that we should be careful when we go there. The original phone call was made due to a noise complaint, with the neighbours saying that they could hear her screaming and chanting in a strange language. I was the officer that was sent down there to investigate, and I've never really taken much notice of the paranormal. I wouldn't call myself a believer or a non-believer. I'm an open-minded kind of person. So I turned up at this house and it does look creepy from the outside. The lights were switched off and I could see a face behind the curtain. I knocked on the door and didn't really know what to expect. When the door opened though, this elderly woman slowly looked through the crack of the door. I explained the situation to her, and that there had been a noise complaint. She seemed confused by this and offered me in for a drink. I entered and thought that perhaps by talking to her I could get to the bottom of what was going on. We get chatting and everything seems fine. She then re-offers me a drink and goes into the kitchen to make it. Everything seems okay inside the house. It was a little run down, but looked like any household an old woman had been living in. She comes in and starts laughing, and then starts talking to someone else in the room. The problem being that it was just me and her. I asked her who she was talking to and if everything was alright. She told me that it's nothing, and that she talks to herself because her husband had passed away, and that her family doesn't visit her anymore. She said that it helps her get through the days. I definitely wasn't expecting this, and it even choked me up a little. We talked for the next hour and she seemed fine. The only thing I could make out was that she was lonely, but this was the start of an ongoing friendship, and I often went round and visited. I really enjoyed the time I spent with her, and think that she just created these people in order to make herself feel less lonely. Little did I know that when approaching her house I would learn one of the most important lessons in my life. Always reach out to family and visit, even if it's quickly. All this woman needed was someone to talk to. End quote. So what do you make of these stories? Even the most experienced officers have, on occasion, been truly baffled by the weird, or in some cases altogether disturbing things they've experienced. Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.